So as you guys can see, I have left the planet because things have just gotten too dumb and out of control. So I'm going to be in outer space from now on, and good luck down there. I mean, see ya, wouldn't want to be ya. So the Trump assassination attempt, obviously it looks like a completely staged event, even if it isn't. It is so incredibly politically convenient that it defies belief. Even if it is not staged, it's definitely going to be exploited. So there are three major possibilities, and we're going to go through all of those and also consider the ramifications for this and the certainties that are associated with it. And then I'm not going to do any more political videos because I'm tired of this shit. It's just so dumb, and I wouldn't, if it wasn't for the fact that it provides me with a template to sort of describe the psychology and offer some sort of like warning to people that will listen, you know, it's fruitless and it's frustrating, and it just like I don't even want to look at it anymore after this. So we'll go back to music and plant medicine and mysticism, and I'm done with this bullshit. Because this makes a great final word, really, about the situation that we're dealing with. Please do me a favor, hit the like button, share, subscribe, consider becoming a patron. We're amazing secret streams on the Masonic degrees lately, and then also our voice chats are very good. We've been doing twice a week now, so people in different time zones can participate, and those are always interesting. Difficult to figure out where to start because there's just so many angles to this. But let me just actually let's talk about this. I have been predicting since 2020, based on the propaganda. This is not, you don't have to be psychic to figure this out, that Trump is being set up to be a dictator by the people that everyone calls the deep state. And of course, the right is convinced that Donald Trump is some sort of rogue agent, a man of God, a divine figurehead, all of which are perceptions that would be engineered if you were trying to install a dictator, right? And then if you look on I don't know where, you know, various memes sites, you can find quotes from Donald Trump that are, all you have to do is remove the word Jews and put leftist in there, and they're identical. You know, this is all deliberate. It's all engineered, and the reason is that we are on the verge of World War III. AI is threatening to the elites. There's so many different things. There's so many people waking up and realizing that the game is rigged, that the elections in the United States are not real, that the political figureheads are nothing but puppets. You know, it's an absolute paradigm shift, you know, beyond any reasonable doubt. And so, you know, not only that, but they have to consolidate power in order to prepare to, you know, go to war with Russia and China and Korea and all, you know, I mean, it's an absolute mess. And it's much more like, you know, strategic to have a single party fascist state under these conditions, you know. I mean, there's just so many reasons for them to do it. And so I have been predicting that forever, and then Donald Trump says that he has nothing to do with this. He doesn't even know what it says, but Project 2025, part of it is eradicating the other party from the government, getting rid of all of the government agencies, which, you know, one of the like classic intelligence strategies is to eliminate government officials and agencies, you know, or entire governments in order to create a vacuum and then fill that vacuum. So people support getting rid of the FBI, the DEA, the Department of Education, all this stuff, but that void's going to be filled with something controlled by one man, and on and on. I'm sure you guys have heard the stories by now, you know. So that was a little weird. And then when that happened, I've said many times now, the persecution of Donald Trump, the legal persecution, is not real. There will be no legal consequences, because all they're doing is trying to elevate him to the status of a martyr, and nothing would serve their purposes better than an assassination attempt, especially if it was like, if it appeared that he miraculously survived because of the hand of God, and that would elevate him to divine figurehead status. right? And they also cleared the way for the dictatorship recently by having the Supreme Court rule that he is not, that presidents are not subject to prosecution. So now you have him above the law, viewed as a religious figurehead. You know, he has just divinely dodged a bullet, apparently. It's all, like, incredibly serendipitous if it really is all just a coincidence. And now we have all of these sketchy elements of the assassination attempt itself. First of all, I discovered today that the alleged shooter was in a Blackrock commercial last year. What the fuck? I mean, you know, maybe it's just a coincidence, but tying him to Blackrock is a little bit insane. And then we have a couple of other convenient circumstances. In order to pave the way for the purge of Democrats from the federal government, if it were to be determined that the president was in danger because the Secret Service itself is deep state controlled, right? These eyewitnesses that came forward within minutes saying that they saw a gunman and they told police and Secret Service and were ignored. If you believe that, you've taken a brick to the head. Like, I don't care what the circumstances are. There's no way that the entire Secret Service is conspiring to abandon protocol, which includes that there would be no unsecured elevated positions. You guys remember Kennedy, right? You really believe that they just did not secure the, you know, I mean, the implication that the Secret Service and maybe even the local police were involved is so utterly convenient to justify the government purge of Project 2025. It is also completely unrealistic. So that detail is definitely worth taking note of. The other side of the argument, people are saying that Trump himself set it up. Okay, well, you know, the lefties saying that I have not seen one of them notice that if that's true, the Secret Service is involved. So either way, no matter which side is right, it's almost 100% certain that something fishy is going on with the Secret Service. And of course, my opinion is that it is, you know, Trump and Biden, after their debate, go backstage and laugh about how dumb it was, and you know, like, they're completely owned and operated by the same people. The Secret Service, it probably was, to an extent, staged, and the Secret Service did know, but it's because they have this, you know, dictatorship that they're paving the way for. That's the most likely thing, in my opinion. Anything I say could be bullshit, but at any rate, and then people mention, well, people died, so, you know, it couldn't have been staged because there were casualties. First of all, there is not an assault rifle on Earth, I don't care if it's a .22 caliber, that is going to nick your ear and barely do any damage. It's stupid. You know, the way he, like, put his hand on his ear, maybe crushing a blood capsule, a fake blood capsule against the side of his head as he ducked out of sight to do it, like, you know, and then they stand him up immediately, almost immediately. And the audience, even, if you watch this shit, no one got hit behind him. I don't know where they're saying that the people got hit that died or were injured or whatever. The people behind him, you see them sit back down and start clapping and shit. The dude was just shot. The bullets were flying right at them. Watch it. It doesn't make any sense. It's either those people are completely brain dead and insane, which they were at a Trump rally, or it wasn't real at all. You know, it's mind blowing. It really is. You know, and I'm not. Don't get me wrong here. I'm just presenting, like, the different versions of and interpretations of the things that I've seen, and, like, you know, trying to make some kind of sense of this. And the reality is, it doesn't make sense. But what I was saying is that the fact that there were casualties, if they really were casualties, does not mean anything. It means nothing. You think a military intelligence strategist gives a fuck if a couple of innocent people die? These are people that drop bombs. You guys remember Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the Gulf War? And you know what I mean? Like, the people that would be planning these kind of things clearly don't care if innocent people die. I don't know why people suggest that that is a reason to believe that it was just genuinely a lunatic shooter. Nagasaki, Hiroshima, 250,000 people died. The bombs were dropped 3 days apart. It took only half of those people died on impact. The rest of them, it took at least 4 days for them to miserably, agonizingly die. Moms, cats, dogs, children, babies. So, you know, the argument that there were casualties, so it wasn't staged. Donald Trump, I would not put it past him one little bit to say, all right, if he was behind it, you know, to say, okay, just make sure you hit a couple of people so it's believable. You know? I mean, give me a fucking break, man. Like, why would anyone deny that they would be like that? It's inconceivable to me. The proof that that is ridiculously, insanely naive is absolutely overwhelming. So that argument doesn't mean anything to me. It absolutely means nothing. The implication that it was a deep state organized hit and the Secret Service were going to let it happen is also completely fucking stupid. And the reason for that is that they wouldn't have missed. They would not have missed if they were trying to get rid of him, right? I mean, his big fat head, like, you really think that target for a military deep state sniper, he's going to miss that badly and just hit random people in the bleachers? I mean, and can you guys imagine being shot? These people behind him, they're supposedly just got shot at, and the person standing right in front of them was hit, and they don't scramble and run? Have you guys ever seen people when they're like sheep, like a little tiny, like a firecracker goes off, and they're gonna run and duck under? You know what I mean? Like, but what I'm saying here is, deep state sniper, no way, because they know if it was to graze his ear or something and miss, it would make him infinitely more powerful. There's no way. There's no fucking way. It's completely stupid. Absolutely could have been just some nut job kid. He was a registered Republican too. So let's consider a little bit more of the possible angles of this insane bullshit. Okay, so the fact that this bullet supposedly grazed his ear, which is not, I don't think, even possible, you know, like that, any assault rifle, even if it just nicked it, would have done far more damage, and I couldn't even see anything, you know. It's completely stupid. People are saying maybe a bullet hit a teleprompter and he actually did get hit by glass. But a bullet? So, one of the main foundational reasons or positions, I guess, that the most insane Trump supporters, the most delusional zombie, mindless followers of this piece of shit, you know, he's a man of God, he is divine, and the fact that the bill that is needed to make him a dictator and gut the United States government, right? To remove all of his political enemies, just like Hitler did right off the bat, right? I mean, he's even said shit about cleansing the blood of the nation, just like Hitler. It's wild. It's wild shit. But the last thing would be to elevate him to divine figurehead status in the minds of his followers. Having a bullet just barely graze his ear and have him stand up and just fist pump like it was nothing. Like, okay, I forgot to mention this. You know, they're all going, that was obviously divine intervention. He's clearly the fucking porn star banging, like, while married to a pregnant woman. Like, you know what I mean? He's a man of God. God, these idiots, man. I cannot handle it. Look at me. I had to go to outer space to get the fuck away from it. Okay, here's another thing. What was it that just hit me? Oh, yeah. The way that they lifted him up within, like, 30 seconds or something, even if the Secret Service guys got in their ears, the threat has been terminated, or whatever they would say, the shooter is neutralized. It would have been like 20 minutes because they would have been scanning every nook and cranny, checking all the rooftops around, the cars, before they would have allowed him to stand up. One of the Secret Service girls in the front ducks down so that he can get his photo op with the flag conveniently flying behind his head and a fist pump. She ducks so that the cameras can get a clear shot of his face. And he goes, wait, he had planned it. He'd obviously planned it. So what the hell was that? What the hell was that? Why did that woman duck? She was supposed to stay in the line of fire. She wasn't doing that because she was afraid. It made a perfect picture. And it looked like they had rehearsed for it. I mean, you know, there's no way. There's no fucking way. They would have secured the perimeter, you know, and all this. There's no way. Just let him stand up, push his head through for a photo op, another shooter. Bam, dude's dead. Like, it's insane. There's no fucking way. There's no fucking way. How anyone doesn't notice this stuff is terrifying to me. Like, it's... And again, you know, we don't know. I'm not trying to claim to know. I'm not saying it absolutely was not some crazy white Republican. Oh, and here's another aspect. So now we've elevated Trump to the status of divine figurehead. And we have the bill to purge the government and even the universities of opposing political party members and all sorts of other shit. We've elevated him to divine figurehead status. And now he has an excuse once he gets in to flip on gun control and help disarm the population the rest of the way. So, you know, there's just so many layers of this, man. If it really organically was just some crazy kid, the level of convenience for all of these details is just, you know, it's almost enough to make me believe it must be God that is, you know, arranging all these circumstances for this fucking piece of shit. I mean, and the thing is, you guys, it's not really going to be a Trump dictatorship. It's not about him. It's not about him. It's just that the psychology, mob psychology, you know, they have to have an alpha monkey for people to follow. You know, I don't believe for a second that Hitler was actually really like solely in charge the way that they, you know, present it. The whole story of Hitler makes no sense, really. If you think about like this crazy guy gets up on a literal box on the street and starts ranting, and next thing you know, he's almost taken over the world. That's not real life. That's not real life. That's not what happens. I don't care what anybody says. That's not what happened. Sorry, my eyes are getting so bad. I just took my glasses off. Netterrofty, I would like to know who is at the top of the food chain. Extraterrestrials, Anunnaki, evil aliens. Probably none of those things. Hartley made a really brain-dead comment based on the fact that I've said that I'm not saying it was staged. I'm not saying anything about it. Here's all of the different aspects of it, and either way, it's going to be turned to the political purposes that I am describing. That is the point. 100% in the minds of his followers, he is now a divine figurehead. If there was any question in their mind, the bullet miraculously almost hit his brain and didn't. So, I mean, I think maybe, you know, you're just a little bit too brainwashed to consider that things could actually be this insane on this planet. Because it is a fact that there are numerous elements of this that make no sense. And you can say it was incompetency, but to claim that the Secret Service, despite the intensity of their training and how many drills they go over for years and years and years in training, that they just dropped the ball on so many points of basic protocol, you know, to tell me that I'm stuck in hyperbole land when you're actually taking a position that unfucking tenable. Come on, man. That's just stop and think before you type. I mean, that's like batshit crazy to try to suggest that that was all, like, to let him stand up and take that photo op, and the way the camera was positioned and the flag right behind him and everything, like, and the people behind him, like, why didn't they scatter and run? Why did they just sit down and start? They sit right back down and start clapping, you know? Yeah, man. I mean, you know, that. Hello, hello, hello. All right. Sound back? Should be back. Let me see if I can. I have no idea why that happened. Really? Hello, hello, hello. Okay, there you are. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, we're good? All right. Weird noise? Yeah, let me know if the audio's okay, because obviously, like, something weird just happened. No, it's not a mic plug or everything. I didn't touch everything is fine. I mean, I'm still using the same mic. I don't know. Maybe the Overlords got sick of me running my mouth. By the way, you guys, I am demonetized. I get nothing for my efforts unless you guys pay me. So I appreciate support. There are options in the chat, and you can join our Patreon, and you get to attend, what do you call it? Voice chats and Discord that have been amazing. And you get access to years of patron-only content. So, there you go. Yeah, I'm getting all kinds of weird messages that there's like stuff wrong with the stream. I don't know if that's like the algorithm not liking the fact that I'm telling you the obvious truth, you know? I mean, something's fishy. There's no doubt about that. And even like I've said, I've totally acknowledged, you know, that may be a crazy position to take. And even if so, having him like narrowly miss a bullet wound, you know, bullet into the head, definitely elevated him to divine figurehead status, and the whole dictatorship is rolling forward. And you know what does drive me a little bit nuts? Like, I try to be detached about this kind of thing, but after predicting the system correctly for half a decade now, live on live streams and videos, and to have people still tell me that I don't understand the system, a lot of them believe in Q, you know, who has like 2% of my track record or something in terms of, you know, if I don't understand the system, how have I been able to describe its behavior and predict its behavior so accurately? You know, you're not like, that's why I'm done with this political stuff, because I can hit the nail right on the head over and over again, and then I still have people like, you know, it doesn't do any good, I guess, is what I'm getting at. You know, it doesn't really seem to do any good. I'm trying to think if there's any other elements of this that we haven't really hit on, because it seems like, you know, I've kind of made my case. I don't really know if there's that much more to say about it, really. I guess, you know, my big concern with all this is that the acceleration of the chaostrophe and all of the elements of it that pose a potential threat to our food distribution systems and our, you know, electrical grid and all of the possible issues that can come with the kind of conflicts that we see coagulating around the world. It's moving faster and faster and faster and faster. I remember in the days leading up to this assassination attempt, I started seeing videos on Twitter of like the Black Israeli militant group like stomping around the United States with automatic weapons, or, you know, at least assault rifles, and then all of these Proud Boy type white supremacist groups, militias taken to the streets with weapons, jumping out of the back of U-Hauls and looking for commie or inward heads to bash open, I guess, whatever they're doing. And then a bunch of them were identified as federal cops and federal informants and stuff. That's another reason that, you know, like this guy that was in the chat earlier saying that I was in a hyperbole land or whatever, because I was pointing out that some of the things about this situation are so inconsistent with any realistic interpretation, you know what I mean? It completely, you know, not consistent with any reality that we should be observing, you know? The fact that we have seen these militant groups running around masked, and then I think a couple of them took their masks off like they thought they were out of sight, and somebody got a picture of them. And they're, you know, one guy was a federal cop, another one was a federal informant. You know, I mean, the evidence that they are behind all this stuff, or at least profoundly, intimately involved with it, is really overwhelming. And the incidents were definitely ramping up in the days leading up to this shooting. There's no doubt about it. You know, the parades got more and more intense of these like militant groups. And then, something else happened. And then the U.S. Was exposed as, you know, working with the Chinese on weaponized bird flu, which, you know, why does this keep happening? Why does this keep happening? You know, the last 3 presidential administrations, Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter, funding Wuhan. Why are they still doing it? I thought China was an enemy. Here, you guys want to hear something really crazy? Really crazy? I mean, this is like insane. Redacted, I'm sure a lot of you know, is like this propaganda. The guy is human scum. Like, he really is. Even just for his clickbait thumbnails that are oftentimes absolute lies. that he doesn't even mention in the videos. You know, it's just clickbait, like no integrity, no. I mean, it's just I can't even stand looking at him. He's just fucking awful, and all he does is just shill propaganda constantly. And I saw a poll he did on his viewers. These are right-wing Americans. Putin has been threatening to nuke them, to nuke those people, right? Russia has been an enemy of, they're like the flag-waving right-wing, right? The poll was, would you rather have dinner with Tucker Carlson, Donald Trump, Ben Shapiro, or somebody like that, and Putin? Putin won. Putin won. Now, I probably don't have to explain to you guys that that is solely the result of heavy propagandizing. Why? Why? How in the fuck is it that as fanatical as people are on the right about supporting Donald Trump, that they would rather have dinner with Putin? So, you know, kind of what I'm getting at here is that based on the propaganda and the, you know, the collaboration with China and whatnot, it kind of seems like the New World Order has already happened, and they're just kind of priming for the unveiling of this. And the first necessary step is to consolidate the United States into one party, and they're going to do that under Donald Trump. They've already created the bill. They've already done the fake persecution. They have already it's just elevated him to the level of divine figurehead. I mean, it couldn't be more obvious. And, you know, if the situation with the shooting was just a shooting and it doesn't matter, but I just don't know how you could not be suspicious, realizing the political utility in so many different ways, especially in the context of all this other stuff, you know? I mean, if there has ever been a time to believe in a crazy conspiracy black op, this is it. This is more convincing than any of the rest of them, without question. I'm staggered by the level of lunacy that I'm observing. And then another thing, you guys know how I'm always describing how one of the main devices of propaganda is to root opposing ideas in people's minds because you create cognitive dissonance. This is what in Orwell, you know, war is slavery, peace is freedom, like all that kind of stuff, which, by the way, I haven't been able to find a single reference to that in any of the videos that I've watched on propaganda on YouTube, which I find really weird. I'm not saying they suppress all the content, but it's the #1 tool of propaganda, and I seriously stayed up till 4 in the morning one night, like watching all these videos on double speed, not one mention of the most prolific, powerful, and common technique of propaganda in any of the videos I could find, which is mind-boggling. But you guys will notice something else about the situation. Remember how the left was all like making fun of the right for all their believing in conspiracy theories? Like, if you believe in a conspiracy theory, you're a fucking dipshit and blah, blah, blah. Now they're all like, oh, this was fake. And so now they're being forced to either accept that this, you know, obviously fishy situation is not fishy, or they have to be complete hypocrites, and now they're the conspiracy theorists. So that little Jedi mindfuck right there is slick too, you know? And of course, I'm not saying that they plan every element of this, but a lot of it is just like convenient side effects from the situation that definitely, once the ripple is created, they will do everything they can to amplify it, you know? Elon Musk has been just such an overt, transparent propaganda shill since this happened. I mean, it's insane that people actually take it seriously and don't become suspicious. I wish someone could explain to me like what I'm seeing in terms of people and the psychological gymnastics and the absolute determination they have to believe things that are obviously false, despite, you know, staring it dead in the face. What is it? What is it? Can someone help me with this? By the way, we still have a few spots at our upcoming retreat. We're going to be mostly focusing on San Pedro and ruins and Oh no, man. Hold on, I gotta. You come in my chat spouting religious bullshit, and you were gone for sure. Sound is bugging out? Again? Is that an old message or is it still happening? Flabbergasted. Yeah, I'm flabbergasted too, man. And the people that are saying it's insane what I'm saying, man, you guys are the problem more than anyone else on earth. Seriously. I mean, for anyone to act like, oh, they wouldn't do that, this is too crazy. After Nagasaki, Hiroshima, the Gulf War, 9/11, like, shut the fuck up. Like, it's like, you coward. You fucking mindless coward. How can you possibly be that much of a fucking spineless, weak, mindless, you know what I mean? Like, it's terrifying that these people still exist. Like, it's like, how hard do you have to work to actually be that delusional and act like, oh, they wouldn't do that? I mean, honestly, like, I really don't care how insulting I just was. Like, you're absolutely begging for it. Begging for it. They have done things so much worse than kill just a couple of bystanders in the interest of political maneuvering. I mean, look, we have recordings of President Johnson. This is a U.S. president ordering a U.S. ship sunk to the I want that fucking ship on the bottom of the ocean, right? This is in like 1966 or something like that, 67. This is, and why did they kill Kennedy? To get him out of the way. They already had the guy waiting in the wings that would do whatever they told him to, right? Like, why did Kennedy pick that guy, you know? So we have a recording. And then when the sailors came to it was the USS Liberty is the name of the ship. And then when the sailors came to the shore, because he said, no survivors, I want that fucking ship on the bottom of the fucking ocean. And the sailors were debriefed. Several of them, I think like 5 of them, told the story on their deathbed. That it was attacked by what they thought were unmarked Israeli planes that were ordered by President Johnson to sink the ship so they could blame it on, I think it was Egypt at the time. They wanted to scapegoat Egypt for some reason. And some survived, and they made it back to harbor. And they said they were debriefed that if you say anything about this attack to anyone, your families will be killed. And a bunch of them talked about it on their deathbed. And the recording of the phone call exists. So how the fuck are you going to tell me that I'm insane for thinking it's possible that this was set up and that they would not give a fuck about a couple of innocent people dying? It's just stupid beyond belief, man. You know, it's rare that I actually get so mad when people say stupid shit on this channel that I actually kind of get aggressive, but that's how I'm feeling right now, you know? Like, that position is so goddamn dangerous and pathetic that it's infuriating to have to look at it, you know? Grow some fucking balls. Face reality. The U.S. government is far, 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 far more evil. You know how they, like, if you're from the U.S., you are constantly, you know, raised to believe that all these, like, evil dictators are so much worse, you know, all around the world. How many of them have nuked cities full of babies and grandmas? Only the U.S. government. So don't try to tell me it's insane to say this could be a staged event. Your brain is just done. There's nothing there. You have nothing. The wind blows, and I can hear between your ears, it just whistles like a shriek of fucking emptiness. You know, we don't know exactly what is going on, but to take that position is just so goddamn disturbing, you know? Grow some balls. I mean, look at me. I had to go to fucking outer space to get away from you guys. You know, not all of you, but the people that are still that determined to believe obviously false, you know, like naive. And that's why we're in this position, because people were too fucking scared and too comfortable to stand up for what is right and take a position that's actually meaningful and has some substance. It is the cowardice, mostly of the boomer generation, that has put us in this position. You know, the cowardice, they knew. They started out when they were young, like protesting and trying to, you know what I mean? And then they're like, the government's like, oh, how about a 2-car garage and health insurance? And the boomers are like, yeah, fuck it. Let's just pretend like we didn't know what was happening and then not bother to, you know, inform our children. And so the first step, obviously, is that we have to admit that there are no limits to the level of black flag operation. There's no limit to the psyops, you know, and then at the same time, don't go insane. Keep your common sense about you. Engage your critical thinking, you know. Just because this was obviously staged to some degree, or you could even just say, like, Trump is at least going to exploit it for everything it's worth. You know, the first step is that we have to acknowledge, you know, that things are actually like this. And then, you know, just because you believe that one thing might have been a conspiracy doesn't mean that you should believe that Sandy Hook was staged and all this other, you know what I mean? It's just, I've noticed a lot of that. People in the comments saying, like, aren't you the guy that doesn't believe in conspiracies? When did I ever say that? You know, there is a criteria for evaluating whether a conspiracy is viable or not. The first thing is cui bono, who benefits? That's the first thing to ask. And then if that leads to somebody that's actually in a position to execute the conspiracy, then you can continue to pursue the possibility that it could be real, right? After that, you have to answer, are there too many conspirators required? Which means that, you know, Sandy Hook, and by the way, just the fact that, like, there were actual victims, that does not mean that it wasn't a government operation, in my opinion. That's, you know, they don't care. They don't care about blowing up entire cities full of babies, you know. It doesn't, I'm not saying it was not just some crazy kids, but the fact that, like, Adam Jones even felt like he had to, you know, take the position that their kids weren't actually killed, that doesn't make any sense to me in terms of, like, evaluating it for whether it was a psyop or not. Which isn't really the point here. The point is that, you know, based on actual historical proof, there are no reasons to put limitations on what these people will do, you know? And any sane person looking at this should have to admit that wound on his ear was not grievous enough to be caused even by a .22 caliber assault rifle. There's no way. Ain't no way. There ain't no way that there was an elevated, unsecured rooftop at a Trump rally. There ain't no way that after 30 seconds of neutralizing the shooter, that they would be that confident that there wasn't another one somewhere to just stand him up like that. And then have the woman in front of his face duck for a photo op so he could pump his fist. And you can hear him. He goes, wait. I don't know what else to say about it, you guys, you know, except that, you know, to recapitulate all this, you know, to say they wouldn't do that or that's too insane or whatever after all of these atrocities have been committed by the United States government. You know, it just came out. Proof that the Saudis had something to do with 9/11, and then they flew all the Saudi royals out the next day, and now there's a recording that constitutes proof. What was that? Why were we in Vietnam? We've never gotten a good answer. You know what they told people? We have to defend our freedom against the fucking Vietnamese. What are you talking about? We have to defend our freedom. That's what they were telling people. You guys remember the Gulf War? Most of you don't. We have to defend our freedom. No weapons of mass destruction. What happened there? 9/11 had nothing to do with Iraq or Afghanistan or the Taliban. And on and on and on. Hiroshima and Nagasaki, dude, that was a response to a military attack, an attack on a military base. And not only that, can you imagine how sadistic to drop those bombs 3 days apart just for the terror effect? So I don't ever want to hear that's too crazy when it comes to, oh, well, there were innocent people killed. It couldn't have been staged. They do that just because it makes it more believable. It's not beyond them either to hire someone to do something and then kill them rather than paying them, I mean, there's no limits. There are no limits. And that's not paranoia. That's based on their behavior over the last, 75 years. I don't want to get too hung up on it, but how can anyone say that? That's too crazy. How many children has the United States government, innocent children? Why would you think they wouldn't kill a couple of people to make a major, and we're talking about to pave the way for Project 2025, right? Because if they're what they're trying to do is imply the Secret Service are involved, the president isn't even safe, the government has been infiltrated by all these deep state agents, so we have to gut them and create a uniparty dictatorship in order to protect America. And you would think that the right, who are supposed to be these flag-waving, constitution-loving people, would absolutely revolt against that no matter what. But they are openly calling for fascism all over Twitter, all begging for it. And that was another prerequisite that I described, or another condition I felt that they would create, starting in 2020, saying that, they will make these people so afraid and so uncertain that they will be begging for a fascist dictatorship. And here we are with the Project 2025 on deck and every condition necessary to create the figurehead of a totalitarian state completely being fulfilled. So that's what's up, man. Don't shoot the messenger. I definitely didn't, vote for this. Goddamn, one more view in the short and we'll have 665 views. And only 9 likes, you guys. Hit the like button. Don't be dicks, man. I'm trying to I am for sure saying some of the stuff that I don't hear anyone else saying, The fact that both sides of this argument right now imply the Secret Service was involved, right? Really need to let that process. That on the one hand, they're saying they were either under the control of the deep state and they let it happen or orchestrated it, which the fact that he apparently missed that's not the mark of a deep state assassination attempt. But either way, a lot of people on the right are saying, and there's more and more videos every minute. So, I've been paying attention to this all day. The right-wing propaganda shills are all oh yeah, the Secret Service had more evidence the Secret Service was in on it, more because that's what they're trying to do with this. They want to spin it so that, they're convincing everyone, we have to install this one-party dictatorship because even the Secret Service can't be trusted. They're all, look at this, it makes no sense. That's the main reason, you guys, that I can't help but take seriously that something's fishy, because the fact that it doesn't make sense actually supports the political utility of it. You know what I mean? It's insane, really, how much the near miss reinforces the divine status of this dude, the suspicion that falls on the Secret Service. And then you have the left all saying Trump set it up himself, but if that's true, the Secret Service also were involved. So either way, Either way, something is seriously fucking wrong, and everyone can agree on that. You know, I think that it's the people that think that this is that there's nothing funny about this situation represent a very small minority, and that's actually the most like consoling element of it. You know, that I'm actually really. It's really nice to see that almost no one, no matter which side they're on, thinks that it's like legit. Totally, you know. That's maybe the first step, but and then the question of what do we do? That's difficult at this point. We have let this go way too far. The machine has become way too powerful. It's nearly unstoppable. You know, that's why I'm in the middle of nowhere in South America, because I literally think that it's going to have to destroy itself before it can recoagulate into something else. You know, I don't really see the brakes being put on the machine at this point without some major chaos. How long that will last is anybody's guess. But the one thing is for certain, if we have any hope of doing anything to help, the first step is that people come to terms with reality. You know, that's really one of the most maddening things to me, is that like this stuff is not hard to see. It's not hard to analyze the propaganda and to like, you know, I mean, if you look at what just happened and the fact that Project 2025 is already on deck, and the political persecution and all of the like dictatory kind of things that are, and if you analyze over time, there's always been that element. But as we've gotten closer to this election, the kind of Hitler-like rhetoric and stuff has actually increased. You know, another thing you guys can do that is you know, at least not going to aggravate the situation is don't say shit that isn't true as if you know it. You know, one of that's like these false accusations and mudslinging and stuff. That's not. I've seen all this shit about how Trump rose to power using racism to compare him to Hitler, and I don't see any evidence of that anywhere. There's nothing, unless you say that, like, you know, controlling immigration is racism. But as far as I know, there's not a country on earth that doesn't have immigration policies. So that's stupid. You know, it's just fucking stupid to equate immigration control in a country that's completely losing its grip with racism. That's not realistic at all. You know, and in fact, on paper, Joe Biden has far more of a verifiable history of making extremely damaging racist legislation and openly racist comments that he's made over the years. So, you know, if you're going to say shit, just at least make sure that you're not just repeating propaganda that you've seen on the internet. Because, you know, we have to try not to discredit ourselves too much. Oh, did I say Adam Jones? I meant Alex Jones. My bad. By the way, you guys, I don't know if I've asked yet, but it's great if you support the channel. These political videos that I've made have really pissed off a lot of people, and I've lost about $150 in patrons in the last week, and we don't have that big of a Patreon anyways. So if you appreciate this stuff, please consider supporting. Yeah, United, we can see your messages. trying to check in the chat. Man, there are some brainwashed, brain dead motherfuckers still out there in the world, man. It's a sad thing to see. I mean, and if you guys, if you don't understand how propaganda works, it really is worth educating yourself on that subject. I don't know if I would use YouTube videos because I found them all to be pathetically inadequate and just like actually disturbing in their omissions of like the most important things that you need to understand if you're going to be able to detect and analyze propaganda. Like these people in this stream telling me that I'm wrong. How is it that I predicted Project 2025, I predicted the assassination attempt, I told you guys what the purpose of it all would be, ever since 2020 and all kinds of other shit. So that's the product of a disordered, insane mind, that they're consistently able to predict the behavior of a system. It means they don't know what they're talking about and they're nuts. I hate to tell you, that's a fucking stupid position to take. That's like the exact same way the weather is predicted. Is, they understand how the systems work so they can predict their behavior. So, I realize a lot of these people in the chat talking this shit probably are not familiar with all that history, but maybe before you open your dumb fucking mouth, you should go and actually check out the history, And it really demonstrates also for the rest of you that are wondering whether you should take their position or not when you see these people saying that. The fact that they are running their mouth without having any information is highly indicative of how they are in the position they're in, where they just don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and they're talking anyways. That's a pretty simple analysis that you can do at home. Anyone can. Yeah, and that's another reason that I don't want to do any more political streams, because I really don't want to alienate so many people. I don't make enough money doing this anyway, since I'm demonetized and deprioritized. You know what I mean? Like I don't really want to be mean like that. But at this point, I have no patience for unthinking, stupid people. Like I don't care to be polite to them. I don't care not to offend people. I don't care at all. So I would rather, in the future, I'm just going to try to stick to what I do best, which is pursuing, secrets of light and consciousness and metaphysics and knowledge of the ancient world, and synthesizing all that into some syncretic system that is useful and deployable. And I think one of the things that's really gotten to me about all this is that as I watch the world descend more and more into this chaostrophe, the utility of teaching people about things when it doesn't even seem like there's going to be a planet to live on much longer, it's discouraging. Like, why should I continue to try to talk about all this other stuff when it doesn't seem like we're going anywhere? Maybe like really not going anywhere. He's mentioning the Dunning-Kruger effect. Yeah, well, that's a pretty pervasive. That's a pretty pervasive thing. Another thing that I got a lot of flack for. I'm still going to do it. I'm going to do one more. I've been, really distracted with getting ready for the retreats and stuff. But this whole thing with Terrence Howard. The thing that people that support that guy don't understand, and the reason that they think that it's a misunderstood genius scenario, is that they don't know anything about the subjects that he talks about. None of them do. And it's provable. Because in your environment around you right now, there's all sorts of things that would not work if he was correct about literally anything, like almost anything that he says. So it's not like when you challenge a fundamental, foundational constituent of something, that's part of the foundation of not just mathematics, but electronics and engineering and all of these things that work all around you would just fucking stop. They wouldn't, they couldn't be working if he was right. So that I'm kind of pointing out mostly because, you know, people need to realize that they're doing the same thing. Like if you see millions of people evaluate or attempt to evaluate Terrence Howard, Billy Carson is another one, and they literally think he's a genius, even though you can just like look around you and see that nothing he's saying could possibly be true. Those people are doing that in every aspect of their life, the political, dietary, like everything. They have no capacity for critical thinking. They have not like educated themselves about all of these things and understanding that it's one thing to question metaphysics and philosophy that might be subjective. But when things are functional and you do that, you just look stupid, you know? There's no possibility that people are, and they actually use this Gallon-Kruger effect to elevate their ego and make themselves feel like, you know, they're smarter than these closed-minded people that are not believing this guy when they don't understand that it's proof that are making people laugh at him. You know, it's a terrifying thing to witness. It really, really is. In fact, I'm going to start doing in my Patreon some mentoring about how to really fine-tune your ability to separate the wheat from the chaff in the world in terms of like research and whatnot. I mean, it literally only takes a second a lot of times to verify something. And we're not talking about taking the word of some corrupt institution. You know, we're talking about demonstrable fucking easy experiments, that kind of, you know what I mean? Like, nothing that requires an elite mind. It just seems like that's a necessary thing that people have kind of lost touch with, the ability to really evaluate and transmutate, you know, and extricate the gold from the garbage. Man, am I glad I made a Luminostic Life a moderator censorship. I don't know what Tyler's talking about. There's literally not a deleted comment in this. Oh, Hartley. Yeah, a Luminostic Life did delete him, and I don't blame her because he was brain dead and has no business in my community. Where was I going with all this, though? It was important. Damn it. Oh, anyways, so keep your eyes out for the next video, which is actually Professor Dave debunking Billy Carson, but it was just an amazing thing because I ended up actually debunking everything Billy Carson too, which is a great example of how, like, you can just Google something and see that he's lying through his teeth. Like when he says, I don't know why gold was important to ancient civilizations, and then names a few of them, and all you got to do is Google it and you can see, you know, or I'm here talking to their ancestors and it's all the same reason all over the planet, except when it's not about money, you know, it has to do with the sun and stars and consciousness and light. And so why, I don't know, but I know if you're an advanced civilization, you need it. Why don't you know, Billy? Anyone that has studied this stuff, even peripherally, knows the answer. So why are you either lying or why haven't you done any research and you're acting like an expert? But then we have Professor Dave, you know, refuting some of the things that he says that actually are, you know, Michael Levin at Harvard has established these things, and Professor Dave was going off about how dumb they are. And they're experimentally confirmed 100%, beyond a shadow of a doubt. So it was crazy. It was crazy to, like, you know, simultaneously be debunking this fucking grifter idiot, Billy Carson. Well, he's not an idiot. He's really smart. But he's lying and he's, you know, deluding people, and he's just a waste of human skin. But then to see Professor Dave not even bothering to keep up with, like, cutting edge developments in some of the most important areas of science, when he's supposed to be a science guy, You know, it just goes to show, which is relevant to the stream actually, how trapped in paradigms and belief systems people become. Because the reason Dave can't believe, for example, that there's a way to manipulate the electromagnetic field in order to cause complex changes to occur in enzymes and proteins in our DNA, laughable, he found it, when it's, you know, there's video of it happening with planariums, you know, that Michael Levin has definitely proven that, and it's 5-year-old research, but he's that stuck, you know, it challenges the paradigm that he believed in too much. You know, and he's become so arrogant, thinking he knows so much, that he doesn't even know that he's totally outdated, you know? So the absolute slaughter that I'm doing to him as a person that basically left school in 7th grade, I hope he sees it one day, because it is just ruthless. And I would be severely fucking embarrassed if I was him. All right, folks. Well, I hear my partner out there cooking dinner, I think. So I'm going to take that as my cue. 1,169 views in the shorts feed and only 11 likes. He who speaks the truth has few friends. I just don't even want to continue sometimes. I swear to fucking God, man. Anyways, think for yourself, question authority. Think for yourself. Question authority. Throughout human history, it has been the, hold on, let me look this up real quick. I can't play it because they'll give me a copyright strike. Timothy Leary, third eye tool. See if I can find it. I probably can. Okay, here we go. Most of you have probably heard this, but think for yourself, question authority. Throughout human history, as our species has faced the frightening, terrorizing fact that we do not know who we are or where we are going in this ocean of chaos, it has been the authorities. The political, the religious, the authorities who attempted to comfort us by giving us order, rules, regulations, forming in our minds their view of reality. To think for yourself, you must question authority and learn how to put yourself in a state of vulnerable, open-mindedness, chaotic, confused vulnerability to inform yourself. Think for yourself. Question authority. Dreaming of that face again. Such a good song. But yeah, so don't forget the wise words of Timothy Leary. Please consider supporting the channel. I may even pop back on and do a quick music stream, just because I know I have at least like 7 or 8 fans that would rather me do music than run my mouth about this kind of stuff. And I kept having to reschedule the mescaline jam. I'm really annoyed about that, but shit happens. But I might jump back on for some music in after dinner for an hour or so. Otherwise, please consider leaving the planet. If you're smart, that's probably the only viable option. I don't know why this world keeps turning round and round, but I wish it would stop and let me off right now. I think that was Eminem anticipating all this bullshit like 30 years ago or something. So anyways, you know, think for yourself, question authority. Nothing is too insane to consider. You know, believe nothing. Believe nothing, but think about everything. That's the thing, you know. You gotta believe nothing, but think from all possible angles. A great practice is to meet every thought that you have with its contradiction and then see what emerges in the middle, because that's usually where the truth is. You know, there are ways, there are methods. You can add the right spice at the right time to rise above all the dirt and grime. And I will see you loked out bitches later. What is this?